Do you ever feel like you need permission to chase after your own dreams? Permission to reinvent life on your own terms? Imagine listing everything you want, creating your vision, and putting your plan into action. I've invited a guest today who's going to inspire you to do just that. Susan Salzman built a global lifestyle brand. At the pinnacle of success, it all unraveled. She struggled with personal and professional challenges and found a way to rebuild. A business strategist and national director at One Table, she's going to guide you on the power and necessity of personal and professional reinvention. She'll share her 5-stage framework that helps visionaries monetize their visions. You're listening to My Most Authentic Life, where we explore unconventional journeys. My name is Fede Vargas. I pivoted from a successful sales career, inspiring others considering big changes. So let's get to it. Susan, so awesome to have you here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Fede. I'm so grateful to be having this conversation with you. I really loved our pre-game conversation, and I'm just really excited to get into it and learn more and connect with your audience.
Same here. And at the core of your story is the power and the necessity of reinvention. So let's start right there. Why do you feel it's important for people to reinvent themselves?
Well, I think just like the universe, just like everything and everybody is an evolution, right? So we're constantly changing. And I think it's our curiosity that helps inspire that growth. And I just don't think that we're meant to do one thing or be one thing forever. As I say to my clients, and I think we'll get into this, but I think I'm going to speak to women because that's who I talk to on kind of a daily basis as women. But I think as women, we lose ourselves in life and in family and in obligations and in all those things. And it's very easy to get stuck. And I think what's really important is that we all honor, again, change and being okay with it not being the way it was, because possibilities are endless.
It's interesting there. And in honoring those relationships, those obligations, and the potential of losing yourself, you may lose sight of your purpose as well, or may find it harder to manage that purpose. So on that note, what does pivoting with purpose mean to you?
Well, I think sometimes it takes a while to get there, but because I mainly work with women 50 plus, I mean, I definitely have others in their 40s. I've worked with millennials. I've worked with all kinds of people. But I think because we get to this stage and phase in our life, it's really difficult to recognize all the wonderful things that one has done, whether it was a powerful, incredible, robust career, or it was the decision or the choice to stay home to nurture and be the CEO of your family. As the CEO of your family, there are still so many dots that need to be connected. And a lot of those dots are volunteering, are taking a role in a part-time situation. You know, you're everything. You're the Uber driver, you're the chef, you're the, babysitter, you're everything all rolled up into one. And I think women come to me and they say, well, I was just a volunteer at the bake sale. I was just a stay-at-home mom. First thing I do is tell them to get rid of just, because there are so many things that you do in that role that prepares you for what I call life beyond ambition, and for pivoting, and for taking all those skills and all those wonderful things that you did and being able to apply it in your life now as you move forward in this next phase and stage in your life, which I think is the best stage and phase, because it's really a time where where you should be, or you can be, saying yes to yourself and saying no to everything and everybody.
There's a quote there that you said that I would love for you to expand on: life beyond ambition. I love that.
So, look, I have three sons, one is adulting, one just graduated from college, one is going to be going off to college, and my middle son is now in this stage and phase of what am I going to do? Like, I know what he knows what he wants to do. It's like, how does he now navigate this new roadmap? And I think from age 0 to 21, 22, it's all mapped out. You go here, you go there, you do school. And I think when we graduate from college, we get a job, we do all the things we're supposed to do. We get in line, right? We connect the dots. We go down this road, we go down that road, kind of not really with a targeted destination. It's kind of like, yes, I want to work in XYZ field. Yes, I want to get to this level, but it's not so much with purpose, right? It's just the thing we're supposed to be doing. And when we get to this age, 50 plus, it's kind of like, now, what do I really want to be doing that speaks to me, that is and you use this word a lot, authentic, is my authentic self? What do I want to be doing without obligation? Right? What do I want to be doing without conditions? Whether it's living in a forest in Costa Rica, or it's going and working on a kibbutz in Israel, or it's volunteering at a food bank, or it is becoming a writer at age 60 because it's something I always wanted to do, but I didn't do it because XYZ. So I think at this point in our lives, and again, for accomplished, intelligent, smart, creative, industrious women, I really think the possibilities are endless. It's just being open enough to be able to see what those possibilities could be.
So well put. And you've described it so perfectly. Life beyond ambition is another way to describe the bedrock of living an authentic life.
It is.
So let's backtrack a bit now. Let's paint the picture for the listeners of what got you here, right? Can you
Okay.
take us back to the peak of your success with your global lifestyle brand?
Yeah, such an accident. But I started my career post college in the entertainment business, where I was able to really learn and network. I learned the art of networking there. I had an incredible first boss in life and mentor. And when I decided to take a little hiatus after 6 years of working, again, school, grow up, college, work. All right, I need to take a breath. I've been working since I was 12. What do I want to do? I'd gotten a really great job offer, but I had about a 4 or 5 month break between leaving my previous job and going into the new one. And I started just tapping into the things that I loved: photography, cooking, yoga. And I started making gifts for friends. They were all having babies. And I no longer had my Platinum American Express card to buy $100 and $200 outfits, even back in the 80s. And so it was like, okay, what could I give them that will create a legacy, or have it be more of like an heirloom piece, where it's just not an outfit. They wear it for 2 weeks, throw it away or give it away. What could this be? So I started making gifts for friends, and it quickly caught fire. And it was back in the day, pre-internet. We didn't have anything called Google or Facebook or even really email. It was really at the beginning of us using email to communicate. And so, being me and knowing and being super scrappy and knowing how to go through the side door and the back door, not always waiting for an invitation through the front door, I got a piece of PR in Architectural Digest. It was a quarter-page editorial piece. I used that quarter-page editorial piece and just blasted it out, snail mail, in a really beautiful way, in an experiential presentation way. And I just really went from there. And I spent 20 years building that brand. And it was just really a beautiful time to create a brand because, again, you talk about authenticity. It wasn't what we have today, where when you scroll through Instagram or you look on social, everybody is vying for that piece of real estate to create their own 15 minutes of fame, right? Or to create their own infomercial. And it was just beautiful and organic and amazing. It was like my business school, but in real time. And it's really helped me continue to grow and be where I am today.
It sounds like those experiences influence, obviously, where you are today. You've mentioned before that building your brand was a significant factor in gaining confidence and being able to step into who you were meant to be, right? Your most authentic self.
Mhm.
Can you think of a pivotal moment or a decision that really exemplifies this transformation?
Yeah. So, as I said, I spent 20 years building that. It was 2008. And if you're old enough to know, 2008 was a pivotal time in our global history, right? And I was just, my dad had just passed away, and it was kind of like one foot in, one foot out. I had lost a lot of my passion for the way that I was doing business. And I just, again, needed another break. I needed a pause. And I have always been a foodie. I baked my first cake from scratch by myself at age 7. And that was also the time that I created my first product. So I call myself the 7-year-old entrepreneur. And so I returned to my roots of cooking. Cooking filled my cup. And I started a food blog before it was a groovy thing to do. And not because I wanted to be a food blogger, but really because people were always asking me for my recipes, and I was tired of emailing them and typing them up. I needed a way to automate it. And I taught myself food blogging, grew community, but I knew I didn't want to be a food blogger, even though my recipes were being syndicated in the New York Times and in the Chicago Tribune and in the Huffington Post. I didn't ask for that. Again, it was accidental, but I had built an incredible community. And I really learned again about the customer journey. And what happened from that is people started coming to me and saying, how do you do that? How'd you build a brand? How'd you build a website? How'd you build a food blog? How do you send emails, email marketing? And I was like, oh, just do this. They're like, no, let me hire me. What do you charge? And so that was 14 or so years ago where I started gaining clients and brands and CEOs and all different kinds of people who were asking me for help and advice. So I became kind of a guide and a mentor. But then in 2016, I was a little malcontent with the way that I was working with these people. It felt more like micromanaging rather than a creative journey for them. And I was diagnosed with cancer for the first time in 2016. And that again gave me an opportunity to pause and think about, what do I want to do? How do I want to navigate this? What do I want this to be? And again, I just kind of said, okay, you've built bridges before, you've moved mountains. What does this look like? And I went back in and kind of redesigned how I was going to work with my clients going forward and what it was going to look like. And I chose to abandon some of those clients because I knew they weren't going to take on this new shape and space. And I developed what's called the 5-stage framework. And the 5-stage framework is really a step by step on how you can build a brand, but it doesn't necessarily have to be chronological. What I learned was I could meet people where they're at using that blueprint. And I think that was a pivotal moment for me. Obviously, cancer is a pivotal moment for any of you out there who have had it. It really makes you think about a lot of things. I was able to reimagine how I wanted to work with others moving forward and what I wanted my authentic life to look like in terms of how I worked with them and how I empowered them. I wanted to show rather than tell. And that's when that all changed.
So that pivotal moment has so much going on because there's so many things, seismic things and health concerns happening at the same time. It's scary, but at the same time, what I'm hearing is that in that moment of resignation, you start to build this really strong foundation for the next stage of your life. So as you're at this crossroads and there's no clear path ahead, what are you feeling in that moment?
Well, I think a lot of things. I think there were times when I felt hopelessness. There were times when I felt hopeful. There were times when I felt frustrated. But I always say that the only way to fail is to stop. And I wasn't going to allow myself or the people that I work with to fail. So I'm always finding ways to maybe veer off the side of the road and detour, even though the destination is always the same. Building the roadmap can look very different at different times of the year, of the week, of the day. But I think the key is to be open to that change and to that evolution. Because if you get stuck into it is this way, or it's only this way, you're never going to get there. You have to be open to iteration. I think what it comes down to is being open. You got to open your heart. You got to open your head. You got to be open to what is possible.
Yes, for sure. And your story is inspiring because there was one after another significant losses all within a year. Your father, who was also your mentor, your business, your identity. What are you thinking at that moment? Like, when's the universe going to stop pounding you?
Well, I was in the hole for a long time, as I call it. I was dark deep in the hole, and I had three young boys. Like, it was not a good place for me to be, but I couldn't help myself. I was really not myself because I really did build something quite spectacular and quite fantastic. And as I say, I built a business out of the trunk of my car, and so can you. I literally built that business out of the trunk of my car. And then it was a decision to just not do that. And again, my dad passing away, my dad was my first mentor. He was really just, I mean, just wrote about this in my journal, just about how I wish I would have seen things when he was alive that, it took him passing for me to really recognize some of those things as well, to see myself in him. And I don't know how I got up every day, sometimes I don't know how I pushed through, but I did have three boys and I did have a big responsibility and I did need to be strong for them and I did need to take care of them. And so I think for me, how I push through is through my creativity. I'm not artistic, but I'm incredibly creative. And everything for me on a creative level is about offering some sort of experience, whether it's cooking for a sick friend. I don't just bring it over in a Pyrex dish, like I package it in a way where it is experiential. So there's layers to it, and you open one thing and then you open another thing and then you open another thing. So it's not just about the dish, it's about the visceral feeling that one feels, so that is always the feeling when they think about, oh, that chicken piccata or, the caramel cake. Oh, it was the taste. I could taste it, but I could also feel it.
Yes, that's beautiful because you're creating an environment and you're creating the energetics for that environment at the same time. So you've moved beyond the dark stage and you've come out on the other side. You're in the reinvention phase. And now you're helping hundreds of women pivot as well and monetize their missions. What are some of the challenges they're facing? And how do you guide them in overcoming these obstacles?
Great question. Great question. So I think first and foremost, the underbelly of everything, and when these people come to me, is confidence. It's not, they might have a great idea. They might have been accomplished. They know what they want to do and who they are, but they don't have the confidence. It's confidence first. Then once I can kind of get them to the other side, on the other side of the bridge, kind of close that gap, then we work on the what, the where, the when, the why, the how. So we got to get to the what and the why before we can ever get to the how. And so I really think personally and I've learned, and this is vibrating louder and louder and louder every time, whether I'm working with some of the people that are coming into me as in my director role through my organization, or they're coming to me privately. It's confidence that they can't do the damn thing, but they just have to understand why they can and why they deserve that they can.
And every small win builds up that bigger confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Can you explain the key aspects of the 5-stage framework and how it helps the visionaries that you're working with monetize their mission?
Yeah. Okay. So stage one is the plan, which is the what's next roadmap, which is really, I call it kind of the believe it stage, because it gets you on the other side of confidence, because you could be a dreamer. And I was talking with a friend the other day, 61, and she's like, yeah, I really should have been a writer. I'm like, well, you're still a writer and it's not too late. And it was a deep conversation as we walked on the beach, like an hour on the beach. And by the end of it, we went and got a journal, and I said 5 minutes a day. And she's been, tackling that ever since. So again, it's the plan. It's really, I call it, you've got the macro vision, but then you got to really reverse engineer it back into the micro tasks. So that's the plan. And it's really brilliant. Stage two, I call clarity, which is imagine it. Again, the who, what, why, where, when, and how. And that really helps you identify who you're helping, what your thing is, why you are doing it, how you are going to get it out into the world, and where you are going to find those people in order to attract to come into it. Stage three is called the core, which is design it. This is really at your core. You talk about authenticity. Who are you? What are you about? From everything from colors to words to just everything that identifies you, that makes you uniquely you. Because look, you're a podcast host and a content creator, and there's a lot of people out there like you, but what makes you unique and different? So that's where we find the uniqueness about you in stage three. Stage four is the narrative, which is what I call build it. This is where you're really tapping into that message that, again, is uniquely you. So it really lays on top of stage three. It's really how are you going to craft and tell your story, your origin story, your narrative. Again, how are you going to stand out in a very crowded, noisy space? And stage five is strategy, which I call grow it. And this really is everything from, it's strategy. So it's stage five goes forever and ever and ever. Stage five doesn't end. But you really need the foundation of the other 4 stages before you can even start strategizing what it is you're going to do.
That's great. That's wonderful. Yeah, I can see, and that's just very top line, of course, but I can see the big picture of how that would really be so helpful for someone. And at the core of all of that is the purpose-driven approach.
Exactly.
That is developed. What message do you hope to impart to women, especially those who may feel limited by age or other circumstances?
Find your community, find a mentor, find somebody who sees you and can hear you. I always say when we get into stage 2, there's 2 components to that stage. It's I hold up the mirror, I allow them to see them as I see them, and then I offer them the shovel. And I ask, do you want a big shovel or a small shovel? They want a big shovel. We're going to go deep. How deep do you want to go? How deep do you want to dive? And I think you need to find people who can offer you the mirror and the shovel, and then feel safe enough to say, I'll take the big shovel.
Yes. Right? Yeah. You need to take the big shovel, but you need to trust whoever you're working with for sure.
And another thing is to just, again, it took me a long time to get here, surrender and trust. Because if you can surrender and trust, the possibilities are endless, because you're allowing yourself to just be incredibly open to what is coming your way. Again, no is not an option. Say yes to yourself so you can say no to everything else around you. Really tap into that all knowing that's already inside of you. But again, really find your people. I mean, I've been working privately with people for the past 14 years or 15 years now. It's 2024. And I have also formed groups where a lot of times, even though I'm the guide and I'm the mentor and I'm the one leading, they really mentor and guide me on a lot of days and a lot of weeks. And so when you can find people that you can come together with and express your creativity, express your obstacles, say you're under the covers or you're not feeling great today, but by the end of that hour or 90-minute group session, the covers are not so far up to your neck. They're a little bit lower down and you feel like you can take the day away and do the things that you want to do. Again, I really think it's just, you got the goods inside of you. Everybody has it. It's in their gut. It's in that root chakra. You just need people helping you dig it out so that you can see it the way that we see it. That's really what it is. And I love my groups. I love working privately with people, but it's really my groups that I love, because even on those days when I just don't feel like facilitating or don't feel like logging on, I always feel so much better after.
They give you energy.
Energy. It's energy. It's an energy exchange. It really is.
Well, that's a wonderful message to end on. And as we start to close off, let's do a fun kind of rapid fire round. So what is your favorite motivational quote?
Okay, it's by Maya Angelou. And it's, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Amazing. I love Maya Angelou. Great. What is your favorite book?
I have to say, I'm obsessed, and I'm actually writing about it right now in a blog post. Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. I think that's how you say it, but it's everything I've been teaching or showing or mentoring, but he wrapped it up into this beauty. It's just a beautiful book. And if you're an audio listener, the audio is incredible. And I listen to it over and over again, but Unreasonable Hospitality, it's fantastic.
And if there's one thing that everyone listening right now can do right away that would give them permission to pursue their own reinvention, what would that be?
Okay. So it's actually lesson 2 in the What's Next roadmap. Make a list of 100 things you want for yourself. And it could be everything from the concrete to the sublime. It could be you want 100 pair of loafers or 5 pair of loafers. You want to go, build houses in Africa. You want to get your partner to listen to you better. Anything and everything, because we got to start with the vision and with the big wish list before we can actually take action on a few of those things each year, each month, each day, each week.
Amazing. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Susan, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. Amazing having you here.
Thank you so much. I just want to shout out to you for inviting me to be here, for including me in your podcast journey, for deep, beautiful, wonderful conversational questions. And I'm just really grateful to share space with you. I'm excited to share you with my audience, and I'm excited to be a part of yours. And I just want to thank you for that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been beautiful making this connection with you as well.
I agree.
Have a great
Thank
day.
You too. Thanks.
And that's today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, have an amazing day. And remember to keep on living. Time on.